I'm Gage Paul from the Games Outfit, and these are my top 10 games of 2014. Number 10, Titanfall. Titanfall's fast-paced and energetic gameplay raised the bar for shooters in 2014. Whether you were running around the map, hopping off walls, or mowing down enemies in a Titan, you always felt like you were in the battle, and it was always kept fast-paced. But because of a disappointing story and a lack of customization of the gameplay, Titanfall is number 10 on my list.
New kid, we want to thank you for helping us determine whether or not Monica was a two-faced bitch.
Number 9, South Park, The Stick of Truth.
Oh, hell no!
South Park does something that's hard to do consistently in games. Humor. With jokes that keep you laughing from beginning to end, South Park The Stick of Truth is definitely the funniest game of 2014. But because I'm not a big fan of JRPGs, the gameplay felt like a grind just to get to the next cutscene, which is why South Park The Stick of Truth is number 9 on my list.
I said be nice, or you wait outside.
Number 8, The Wolf Among Us. The Wolf Among Us is an adventure game from Telltale Studios and is set in the Fables universe, a place where all the characters from old fairy tales now live in the modern world.
I feel uniquely qualified to tell you, your wars don't work.
Number 7, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. As someone who hasn't seriously sunk in a lot of time into a Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare 2, I was skeptical when coming into Advanced Warfare, but the changes they've made with the exosuit has really modernized the gameplay. It makes it much more fast-paced and funner to play. They've also improved the story with a better narrative and better characters. This is easily the best Call of Duty has been since Modern Warfare 2. Number 6, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. In The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, you play as a detective who has come to the fictional town of Red Creek Valley in search of a missing boy named Ethan Carter. As you travel around the town, you learn more about the mysterious people that live there, and more about what happened to Ethan Carter. Number 5, Alien Isolation. The biggest change between Alien Isolation and previous Aliens game is that it's less of a shooter and more of a survival horror game. In Alien Isolation, you really have no way of dealing with the enemy. Your only choice is to hide. This really adds to the tension of the game, because if the alien sees you once, you're done. And the game looks incredibly like the original 1979 movie. From the motion sensor to the way you save to the air vents you crawl around, it's all inspired by the original movie. And although the game does stretch on for a little too long, it is still easily my favorite survival horror game of 2014.
I've cleared my calendar for you. You and I are gonna tear shit up!
Number 3, Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4 is very similar to Far Cry 3. It plays very similarly. You still find yourself sneaking into bases, taking out guards, hunting animals and taking their skins to craft weapons and holsters, but it still manages to change just enough to still feel like its own complete experience. One place where Far Cry 4 dramatically improves over Far Cry 3 is the story. In Far Cry 4, you find yourself backing the Golden Path as they try and take back the country from the tyrannical leader, Pagan Min. And Pagan Min is easily the best character in Far Cry 4. Every minute that he's on screen is entertaining. And although I really enjoyed my time with Far Cry 4, I really hope to see dramatic changes in the next game. Number 3, Infamous Second Son. Infamous Second Son is the third game in the Infamous series, made by Sucker Punch Studios. This time, you find yourself playing as Delson Rowe as he tries to hunt down the woman who injured people in his tribe. The game looks absolutely amazing. Seattle looks beautiful as you run around the town with your neon powers. And although combat can feel a little bit repetitive, the different powers change it up enough to keep it fun throughout the whole game. Infamous Second Son makes you feel powerful, which is why it's number 3 on my list. Number 2, Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Although many people complain that Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes main campaign mission only lasts about an hour, it's how perfectly you can execute on the gameplay in that hour that makes it number 2 on my list. As someone who's recently been playing through the Metal Gear Solid games, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes manages to update the controls and really makes the gameplay a lot more fun. The game is brief, so there's not much of a plot, but the story that is in the game continues to transition Big Boss from a war hero into a darker character. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes is the best controlling stealth game I've ever played, which is why it's number 2 on my list. Number 1, Sunset Overdrive.
Fuzzy! Trespassing and destruction of property is a serious crime! Get ready to die, asshole!
Sunset Overdrive is what I used to imagine video games would be like when I was a kid. I can definitely say that I haven't had more fun playing a video game this year. The game is completely ridiculous, has you zipping around on wires, bouncing off cars, using insane weapons to defeat giant bosses. Sunset Overdrive is also an amazing looking game. It has a bright, colorful art style and a pretty good soundtrack to go along with it. Although the main story of Sunset Overdrive is really simple, it's the humor that'll keep you playing the story missions from the beginning to the end of the game. Sunset Overdrive plays well, has great music, looks amazing, and is funny from start to end, which is why it's my favorite game of 2014.